Welcome to Elevation Station. They call me Ferdinand, the bringer of balance, leader of many disciplines, and one of your hosts of Elevation Station. Listen, I got a very special host to bring to you. This brother's got his own school. He's doing some amazing things in the community. Brian Egan.
Thank you for having me here.
How's it going?
It's going well. How's it going for you?
Oh, everything's going good. Thank you for being here as well. I've been looking forward to us having some high vibrational conversations for a very long time for everyone to hear, because I think you come with,
the more in tune we are inside of ourselves, the more in tune we can help make the world. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to be working with you, Ferdinand. I really appreciate your understanding and your ability to speak the words as they are, and to like conceptualize it and intellectualize it into a way that you can speak and really hold that space. And because not many people can do that, and so I really honor that in you, and I'm grateful to be doing this stuff with you here. I think this is going to be a wonderful experience. So
thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
When it comes down to orator, communicating, I've been very blessed to have a gift, but at the same time, I've been a professional for a long time, and so I've gotten a lot of nuggets from masters along the way.
Heck yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So it's been a blessing, that journey. It's been around the world with the microphone and the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a skill people don't realize. Like it's in itself, it's a real holding space. Like you are creating and holding a container that's a safe container for people to express themselves and to be who they are. And I think that's so vital. And yeah. So
I gotta stick with that for a second. First of all, I appreciate that compliment. But I want to be real clear, and thank you to everybody who's watching. It's Elevation Station. It's episode 1. It's a new day. They call me Ferdinand. I'm here with Brian. Listen, we're about to talk about some high vibrational things, but I want to touch on what you just said, because for the longest time, media has been heavily controlled, completely controlled by specific individuals, and righteousness has had trouble getting out. Happiness has had trouble getting out. It might have been sprinkled in on a movie, sprinkled in on a TV show,
mm-hmm.
right? But it wasn't getting out effectively. However, hatred, slander, lewdness, all kinds of different issues, they're getting out. We see them clearly in the movies and in the TV shows. We see them clearly in the blogs. We see them clearly in the news, right?
And social media. And they just freed it for social media from all the things that are happening mysteriously in the world. But I don't want to focus on those things. You know what I mean? Like, those things are there. We should note them, of course. But like, we're not going to sit here talking about that. There's no reason to give that any energy whatsoever.
Well, and I get what you're saying, right? But I do want to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't look away from it, but at the same time, yeah.
with all of these challenges that we face in that space, that's why your comment that you just made becomes so valuable and so important, because we need more creators out here who have the ability of producing, have the ability of working in the Adobe suite or however they create, to create platforms where more individuals can get out and they can touch their external audience. You know,
Mhm.
many of us are touching our internal audience, but each of us needs to touch each other's external audience. And these are some great ways to do that, to have some, you know, organic conversations about
Mhm.
things that really matter.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Appreciate
I do agree with that. um, yes, and but you know, at the same time, I want to feel that we're you
that. Sure.
know, moving, keeping ourselves on top because it's easy to fall off topic.
Absolutely. Well, it's a new day, man. Elevation
Right,
Station.
right.
And this is the spiritual locomotive that is taking you up to higher vibrations. That's what we're doing here. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, we do got some challenges. We got some things going on in the world. Brian and I, we're going to touch a couple of pieces of that, and then we're going to talk about solutions. Right. But, you know, Brian, if you don't mind, what I'd like for you to do is tell us a little bit more about the sound healing, because I think that's very, very powerful.
Oh, okay. Well, the the idea of getting more in tune with yourself comes down through every culture to our very beginning of our existence. You know, how do we communicate with one another? We make sound. How do we feel our environment? We don't just see our environment, we hear our environment. And we don't pay as much attention to that ability. And we need to pay more attention to it. I mean, it's kind of the simplest words I can put into that for a second, if that makes sense. But I would like to say with the way this works with sound healing and with what we're talking about is the more harmonically and synchronized we can be inside of ourselves and for other people and for everyone, then the more clear we will show up.
Absolutely. You know, that I appreciate that. One of the things that I talk about with many people is how if we were carrying a bucket of silt water in the back of the truck,
Mhm.
bumpy, it's a bumpy road and everything. But once we get home and we take it out the back of the truck, we sit it down, let it sit for 10, 15 minutes,
Mhm.
start to clear up, right? And we start to be able to see through that water properly, right? And now what we see is a connection between that and how we think, right? And then the cymatics or the sound healing helps us to achieve this more effectively. Like within the communication model for everybody out there, you got the encoder of a message, and then that encoder of the message is now sending that message, but it's got to make it through noise first to get to the other side, which is the decoder of the message, right?
Right.
So the source sending it to something else. Well, that noise, what is that? That noise is us. This noise, that noise is what we believe about self. It's our emotions, it's our vibration, and I
It's
think
our
sound healing gets us through a little bit easier.
it's our thoughts in
Yeah,
action. Yes. Yeah, and so our first thing after we think a thought, right, is to unfold it outwardly into our words. You know, this is the Lao Tzu quote. You know, um, watch your thoughts; they become words. Watch your words; they become actions. Watch your actions; they become your habits. Watch your habits; they become your character. Watch your character; it becomes your destiny. That's Lao Tzu. Um, and yeah, just holding that space. You know, our thoughts create, right? And so the more um, let's say correctly patterned, but like maybe not correctly because everybody has their own way. You know, um, yeah. What do you think about that? Because you know everything starts with self, right? We have to fix ourself, and then we can help everybody else do what they need to do.
well, I think that the first step is always knowing thyself, And from that point, a person is able to start building trust and courage for thyself. And I think that a big part of all of this process, because I want to keep us on sound healing for a second. I want to keep us on cymatics for a second. I think a big part of this process is having a deep understanding of the golden ratio, what some may call the Fibonacci sequence, because this is the space of healing. This is the space of clarity. This is the space of high vibrational magnitudal level jumps, right? Would you agree?
Yeah. No, I like that. That's a good. I like that feed into that. Yeah, the Fibonacci sequence, PHI or F5, if you want to say it like that. That ratio is repeated all throughout nature, in plants, in our environment, in the way that nature moves and operates. It's nature's operating system. That's what I would call the golden ratio, the golden rectangle, whatever way you want to frame that picture. It's in every culture. It's in every ancient culture. They understood it. They used it as technology like we do now, and in the various ways that we use it. I love that. Yeah. But and the more in tune we get with that, the more effortlessly our life will show up.
Absolutely. I notice that when I'm in nature. I notice that when I'm listening to certain classical music, I can feel that golden ratio. I can feel that natural vortex that is supposed to be taking place at a high clip. The same vortex that's happening within our DNA.
Yep.
So with the sound healing, are there certain vibrational frequencies that you normally play?
Yeah, so interesting. I can talk about that for a second. With all the bowls that I have there's like 10 core ones that I play with every time now. And interesting to note, the heart is from the only one left from the original set that I got, I guess 10 years ago this year, or maybe 9. I think we're 9. Yeah, this is the completion of 9 this year, and it's been a long journey. But anyway, so the first set of bowls, the green bowl for the heart was, and they're all tuned, I think, to 440. I don't really know because I just got it off eBay. I was like excited and I just wanted to get some, and which I find a lot of people do, which is kind of humorous, but it is what it is, like you got to learn. And there's so many people that sell them. Like there's people that make glassware will make them, because what is glass? Glass is quartz crushed. And they usually will use sand because most sand is quartz. So anyway, with the bowls, the company I found in China that I work with, they've really kind of helped us out and done well with us over the past, was this year 6 or year 7 that we've had the Sound Healing Conservatory? Yeah, this is year 7. But yeah, it's been a cool journey with that. Anyway, so 440 is the tuning for the heart bowl, I believe, if it's just the generic one. And 440, hey, here we are. Some political things, right? 440 was the tuning that the Nazi, not going to call that one out, are we? The Nazi party, who was in charge of Germany at the time in the 30s, I think, when it was last changed the official tuning of the musical operatic house or whatever it was to 440, away from, I think it was away from 432. Do you know that history part of it? Are you familiar with that, Ferdinand?
I'm not familiar with it. I'm listening intently.
Okay. Well, no, you're good. I'm just trying to feel out where you're at with it, because if you've heard the story before, like there's more. Like I could be wrong. So no, but I'm not wrong about. I could be wrong that it was 432 that they had it tuned to before that, but all of the musical houses, because they didn't have any of the technology we have now, like this amazing machine, but the the technology that they had was that they would write down, this is what the tuning is going to be for all your instruments in the orchestral houses. And it was all through Europe. So when they changed it officially for the full European designation, every place you went had the same tuning. So you would be tuned to that frequency that they wanted you to be tuned to. So Hitler, being the occult aficionado, we'll call it that, obsessed, demon possessed, all those things, and those are all valid things. And I feel like I don't know. Anyway, so maybe we'll get there in the conversation. But the possession thing for Hitler was very real. And there's a book called The Morning of the Magicians that you can check out. It might be worth looking at.
The Morning of the Magicians.
Morning of the Magicians. It's very clever. And it was written in the 60s, I believe. And these gentlemen kind of like went through all the major occult creepy stuff that happened at the turn of the century and all that stuff. And he kind of like, it reads kind of weird. So like what I mean is like it reads like just they're listing off all the things that happened and like the way it went. But Hitler, they said, would go off before he would go and give his speeches, and he would go off and he'd be like screaming in the room by himself and like freaking out before he went out to go speak to these people to like, I guess, we would want to say hype him up, but in pictures of the way that magic works and the way that magical groups work, and this may put some marks in our spaces for saying this, but it is what it is. What he was doing essentially was like channeling in and like summoning in demons to speak for him. And really that's what was happening. And he embodied that. And that's why he went on these occult, like sent out these missions to find all this occult material. Like if you're familiar with like the Indiana Jones movies or whatever, like the first, I think like 3 of them or 4, I think all the way up to the 4th one was all stuff with the Nazis. And because the Nazis were on the comic book Hellboy, if you've ever heard of that, check that one out. That one's all about what happened at the turn of the century, because Hitler and that, they did do some really interesting things. The first Indiana Jones movie is about the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Ark of the Covenant. That was what the story was about. They went on a rampage to try to find that because it contained some form of a higher frequency of things, and it was enough to destroy people, and so that was what they thought it would be the ultimate weapon. I think you're familiar with that story at all?
I'm familiar with the Holy Grail, story, and Indiana Jones, but this background version of like the origin, I wasn't familiar with this. So I definitely plan on looking into it. I just pulled up Morning of the Magicians.
Yeah, that stuff was creepy. I read that like 6 or 7 years ago. That was a weird one. Have you seen Nazi Town? I think I talked about it at the men's group you came to the first time.
I don't think that I've seen it.
It's on PBS. So everybody out there listening and everybody forever from this point on, find it on PBS on their website. It's called Nazi Town USA.
Nazi Town USA.
It's some creepy stuff that needs to be seen and has been suppressed in like a really weird way. And I say that because I've like, when I saw it in like propaganda type things, so I saw it, and here's my woke teacher discussion, right? So I saw it before one of my government classes last year that I was teaching, and I showed it to my government class. We spent the whole day watching it. I was like, you guys need to see this. This is a piece of history that people try to push away and make not be a thing, and it's a thing. And it's about when the Nazi Party was forming and how the Nazi Party was forming in America very easily. And the whole thing is about it. And so this ties in Trump even more. So in the 60s and 70s, his father didn't let black people live in his apartments and things like that. There was a lot of messed up things he did, but also while he had his son reading Mein Kampf, and then put that book next to his bed. His first wife said he would sleep with that book next to his bed, the person who's now in charge of all of this place. So anyway, back to the story. I don't even know where. Just there's just so much. So in Nazi-town, USA, they start the show talking about, or the documentary about, talking about how when they called it the German American Bund, and if you look this up, these are all real things. Hitler camps were all throughout America, and in the beginning of the movie, they show this map, right, of the United States, and and all the camps were on the northern corridor of the country. Okay, northern and then the West Coast, kind of, and there was not as many on the West Coast, but there was a bunch up in the Northeast, and so like Jersey, New York, like Vermont, like all those, New Hampshire, I'm sure Massachusetts, wherever they could set them up. So this group, and it was like the YMCA, okay, like, here, we'll take your kids for you, like, and when you say that to somebody, you better know what you're talking about, because what they were programming people, children, and so here's the shitty part of the story. Excuse me, my language, but like that was just not really okay. They didn't go to the South. There weren't any camps on the South, because the South already had its own way of segregating and separating people, and so they didn't want to mess with what was already going on there, which is really just even more disturbing. Like it was really like uncomfortable to watch, like I don't know. It just kind of, anyway. So, yeah, my, so my class was just as appalled as I was as they watched it. It was just really like, not, these aren't appropriate things like that and so those people, when they saw what Hitler was actually doing in Germany, they just backed into the bushes. Like, they didn't leave. They didn't go to Germany to go be with them. They stayed here. And so the worst part of that whole documentary was where they show you Madison Square Garden. Have you ever seen Madison Square Garden? It's a big arena.
Yeah, it's huge.
Madison Square Garden filled to the brim when it was first created and stuff, like with American Nazi sympathizer people, like creepy, like, and they had them all doing the salute. I had them all lined up, and they like, and it said in the movie, in the documentary, that they used like Native American symbolism. They tried to put Washington next to Nazi uniforms and all these things to try to like make the people just think, oh, this is just okay. This is the way it is. Like creepy stuff. So I just really uncomfortable, and it perpetuated all the different weird fascist. Fascist is just another word for Nazi. Really. And so when you're called a fascist, like Antifa is they called it a terrorist group, right? It's the anti-fascists, because people who don't want what's happening right now.
What did you say that term was?
Anti-fascist, or Antifa.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Antifa stands for. If you ever hear them say Antifa, people, like when like I think when all the riots and crap were happening the first time Trump was president, and the different like northern states and stuff, that was all. Antifa was like with the other group they tried to like round up.
Antifa,
anti-fascists. That's what it stands for. Just creepy stuff. So anyway, the world, right? So here we are, and it's all right in front of us, isn't it?
Right.
So how do we keep our harmony while all this is happening around us? Right.
That is a great question. And I want to thank everybody who's listening in. Appreciate you. Hey, throw something in the comments. All right. We're about to talk about some high vibrational things. How do we maintain harmony while the world is in chaos? Right. We're in episode 1. This is Elevation Station. It's a new day. They call me the guy with the books. I'm here with Brian. Listen, one of the best ways that I can think of to maintain harmony while chaos is surrounding you is meditation, eating whole foods that grow from the ground, turning off the television, Putting away the computer and the phone and the tablet unless you're doing something productive to use them as a tool. Sleeping throughout the night in complete darkness, drinking more water, uh,
Mhm.
writing your goals out, and taking the time to go out in nature with no distractions and putting some time in your shadow work. Raising your vibration and your belief of self and within those regress traumas that have not been properly addressed, overcoming those.
Mhm. That's great. I was just thinking as you were saying the writing them out, that's like the third part of that Lao Tzu quote, where he was like, thoughts, words, actions. Actions are writing it out. You know, um, in magical practices, they say if you're like making a spell for yourself of something, you
Right.
go through and you cross out the letters and you do the whole thing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, just ways that we cement what we're working on. You know,
Yes.
that happens from us being fully present and from taking care of ourselves, and then we can take care of our family, and then we can take care of our community, and then we can take care of the world.
Yes.
And that's what we're going for, right? That's what this is. Like, let's
Absolutely. Everything starts with self, and then we start to exude through the pores at magnitudal levels, as you were just calling out those magnitudal levels, but it's got to start with each person in each home, So I encourage everybody out there, raise your vibrational frequency within all of the things that give you life. We've shown a lot of behavior that kind of proves that this is pretty much a death culture. Let's bring life back to it. Let's speak life into each other. Let's speak power into each other. And let's raise ourselves together. Let's uplift humanity together.
definitely, yeah, it's a new day.
It's a new day. So some of the challenges that we see out here in the world is, the executive office has got a lot of craziness going on. We see that South Korea has recently recovered from being in martial law. We see that,
And North Korea is on the way to try to take back what they think is theirs, and so is China.
wow,
They're watching to see how us, the U.S., responds to this mess, and we're doing a bang up craptastic job right now. I don't know any other way you could show less humanity than what's happening right now. It's really uncomfortable. Yeah, so with all the occupations and everything else, and in the Ukraine especially, and in Palestine, it's horrible. The fact that we are letting it become a business deal instead of something where we are actually taking care of the people is really sad. And I know that way more than 50 or 49.6% of the country or something, however many people, because of the voting, maybe 40% of the people actually came out to vote. So 40% of the people made the decisions for all of us. I voted, and it's just, it is what it is, right? And so we have to handle what comes. And so unfortunately, making all those decisions and starting the fight with the Zelensky guy and all the dumb stuff that he's doing right now is really despicable and really uncomfortable to think that he is representing us to the world. And I don't know, and I'm sure everybody's kind of beside themselves watching it. It's like you can't look away from a car crash when it's happening, but we are in the car. So we need to figure out how to help change the direction in a safe and viable way that doesn't involve any more violence. And for everybody, and so like I see the weirdness of the grift that he does, because everything he does is a grift, and he's trying to do it now with the world and pull us into the one world government thing, and that's definitely hot button what they're leaning into right now, because Putin like needs that for some reason, and I think it's going to take away a lot of sovereignty from a lot of people. And
sounds
it's
like Agenda 2030 to me.
Say again.
Sounds like a Agenda 2030 to me.
Oh, is there one of those too? I haven't seen that yet. Is there one of those?
I will YouTube that.
Okay, yeah, I haven't gone there yet. Yeah, if you
YouTube
want to,
and
what do you got in that one?
yeah, I will Google and YouTube for, and this is for everybody out there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Google and YouTube Agenda 2030, and also Google and YouTube BRIC, BRIC. Look up both of those. I do believe that in certain ways they go together. Now, with everything you just said, thank you for that response. There is a lot going on that seems a little off kilter, and I would say is off kilter. But I would also say that that's exactly what's supposed to be happening right now. One of the things that I use as a tool is the zodiac. It helps me to understand the cycles of time. So when I look at the planet Uranus, it's symbolic of revolution and rebellion, sudden changes, unexpected things, technological advancements, and other symbolisms as well. However, I'm looking at where it is right now. Right now, it's in Taurus, and it's been in Taurus for the last 7 years. Taurus is symbolic of values. Taurus is symbolic of spiritual femininity. Taurus is symbolic of earth element. So when we look at that, we see, all right, well, we got rebellion and revolution happening in the realms of our values, in our feminine nature, in the earth element, right? Now, where is it about to go is the question. Uranus is about to enter Gemini. Okay. This is extremely significant because this completes an 84-year process. The Uranus takes 84 years to orbit the sun. So it takes 84 years to get back to Gemini. But every time it gets to Gemini, we have full-fledged war, full-fledged rebellion, full-fledged revolution. And anyone who wants to fact check this, listen, go to Google and do the fact checks. The last time Uranus was in Gemini, we had World War II. Last time before that, we had Civil War. Last time before that, we had the Revolutionary War. This is every 84 years. And we clearly see the brewing of this that's about to take place. So, I completely feel you on what you said a couple minutes ago. Like, man, we just need to kind of bring the violence down. Unfortunately, the violence is about to get so bad.
Really bad.
Yeah, that we're going to see more than likely a third of the world transition.
Robot bad.
Yeah, robot bad. Absolutely.
That's happening right now, right in front of our faces. And they're telling us this much of that much of a story.
Yes.
Like it's obscene. Because I know in the past it was like the military would give you like stuff 20 years, but now with the high turnover technology, it's more like 6 months.
Right.
So like the things that we see that look really amazing, the military's already got figured out and they're already 3 steps ahead of that. And they're planning, and it's not just the military, it's the military industrial complex, which is shifting those same weapons and things and technologies all out around the world. So speaking of cymatics and sound healing, how about that hypersonic missile that they shot? Alien technology, yes or no? Or yes? Because we never heard about the aliens that flew over in between the extra things they threw out to distract us in New Jersey, all over Trump's stuff and everything else. Because it wasn't just the UAP drones, it was actual UAPs, but they threw the drones out so we wouldn't actually notice that they were actually out. Maybe, who knows? It is what it is. He's never going to tell us. He lied again, which doesn't surprise anyone because that was why we picked him, right? So he'd, go in and dismantle and destroy our entire system of democracy. I guess it is what it is, right? So we get what we deserve, right? Is that where this is? I hope it's not.
Well, I look at it like this, right? It's not really about who was picked. It wouldn't have mattered whether
I hear that
would have been in office or
that's true,
or Donald Trump would have been in office. And I'm gonna tell you why right now, right? Elon Musk, his little son, made one of the biggest mistakes that he could have ever made in his life. He told the president of the United States of America to close his mouth and that he wasn't the real president.
Yeah.
And then the president of the United States of America, named Donald Trump, closed his mouth and didn't speak.
And like smiled at him.
And Elon Musk was still talking. And this was in the Oval Office, right? So this is very significant. When we start thinking about Elon Musk being in control of the United States of America's government in many different ways and many different facets, that starts to make sense on why Donald Trump has been accepting tens of billions of dollars from all these different sponsored donors, whatever they are, to the United States. And then what are they giving it for? They're giving it for intellectual AI. They're giving it for IT type stuff. Well, what is that used for? Well, what I know about Elon Musk is that he's got a company called Neuralink, right? And now when I look at what's going on in the world, it's very clear that the ancient bloodlines of people are being restored to their mantle of innate leadership over this entire earth. And
Right.
this is part of the reason why you see Japan and Norway advertising to American melanated males, hey, we'll pay you $70,000 to come and live here, have sex with our women, make babies. We're going to make sure you got a job, you got land, you got a business. Well, why are you doing that? Because the head is becoming the tail and the tail is becoming the head. So where is the head of the tail that's becoming the head? Where's that head at? That head is right here in the United States of America. This is the reason why they're not catering to the melanated people in America right now, because they're trying to cut the head off of the tail that's becoming the head, right? They're trying to cut the head off of that, the most creative and influential people of all time, bar none, every single human included in this conversation. So this is what you see from Elon Musk. What is he really doing? Because see, this is how we can use the Super Bowl halftime show to really explain this. But see, Elon Musk, in my opinion, he's pissed off. He's not going to tell us he's pissed off. Why would Elon Musk be pissed off? He got kicked out of his home. He got kicked out of South Africa. So some people think that he's.
I didn't know. So how did he get kicked out? I didn't hear this before.
Well, the government,
like, not allowed. Go ahead.
The government of South Africa, they took the land back from the Caucasian owners of land in South Africa.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's pretty dangerous to be Caucasian in South Africa right now, and for the last probably 5 to 10 years or so, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
But either way, my point of Elon Musk isn't able to go back home and live the life that he likes to live. Think about that. That's a billionaire who can't go home, right? So I'm gonna land my plane real quick.
No, you're good. I'm in you. Yeah. Like, I get it. That's it. Yeah.
So when you have possibly, let's just say that this is the morale that he has. You can't go home. You're pissed off with melanated people, and you want to make sure they don't take over the earth again. So you want to cut off the head. Well, you come over here and you wreak havoc over here. You make it very clear that it's okay to have a Super Bowl halftime show with a primary melanated performers, and they're putting out a revolutionary message that is just a show of strength, and they don't know a goddamn thing about revolution. They don't know nothing about feeding the army. They don't know nothing about dealing with foreign warlords and none of that. They don't know anything about running a country, and this is who you allow to become your new Black Messiah. Well, what is that? That's a plan, in my opinion, to operate in the depopulation exercise. So what are we doing? We're empowering people who are not properly prepared for war, while we're pissing off the Caucasians of the same country who aren't ready for war either. And we're about to throw Uranus into Gemini for 7 years. So it looks to me like they're trying to get as many people as possible in the United States of America to kill each other. Then on top of that, the ones who live, you get to go through, you get to choose. You could have, because you committed a crime, and we don't got no more space in these concentration camps. We don't got no more space in the prisons. We done ran out of space. Sorry. We don't have enough of our resources that we need to, to sustain you. So you get an option. You get the Neuralink, or you get the guillotine.
and uncomfortably so, as this new AI gets better and better and better, and Elon is having discussions with Jordan Peterson. You could find their thing somewhere on this YouTube world, and the first 10 minutes of the conversation, he's talking about programming Grok 3. And he spoke to Grok 3 in the interview he did at the very beginning. He spoke to Grok 3 in the interview he did with Joe Rogan this past couple of days, because he's trying to revamp his image so people don't realize he's such a psychopath. But he like psychopath worse than Hitler. And he has all the keys. He's been building robots since the spring of last year. The AI robot, he has his own thing. He's probably not even talking about it now, or even trying to talk about it. But he's involved in all of them. The one that's happening in California right now with the robots that they're having that can do household tasks for you.
Yeah, I heard about those.
I give that, like, before the end of this year, they will be giving them away. So you'll have one in your home and they can help you do all your things. And then it's just who's got the control button.
Right.
And then we're all locked into them and we do whatever. It doesn't matter. Right. So those are all potentials. You know, we could look at all the sci-fi movies, Transcendence, where they hook AI into the internet, which we already have happening right now in front of us. And teaching AI, and they're like, oh, it's learning way faster than we thought. Like, really? Did you not watch the movies? Like iRobot, you know, like, or read the book. You know, these are all not new concepts of ways we've showed how we were going to destroy ourselves, you know? So it's really uncomfortable to watch one maniac doing all of it, and we're just like watching. It's like, that's why I thought it was hilarious. Saturday Night Live did a skit, and they had Elon walk out while they had the Zelensky thing playing back and forth, because right after it happened. And Mike Myers is the perfect one to show, because he's like Dr. fucking evil. Like, and that's how insane Elon Musk is. And like to such a point that you can't even like fathom how, you know, and he said he's on ketamine all the time. Like this is some dark stuff that's happening right now. And so I don't know if have you ever seen the movie Hereditary?
I haven't.
Okay. So it's an A24 movie. It's within the past like 5 years, or maybe it's 6 years old or something. It's creepy and really uncomfortable, but like Illuminati, dark magic stuff, like type things, even to another level. And like, so they like ensoul. They're like, the idea is to like ensoul a demon into a person, right? And so I don't know if you've ever seen Elon Musk's mother.
You want to get that question?
Oh, have I watched Zero? I have not watched Zero Day. I'm not sure what that one is.
So I think it's got De Niro in it. It's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, where was I at? I was saying
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. I'm trying to think. What was the movie?
Was it Heritage?
Oh, Hereditary. And it's a creepy horror movie. But it's, you know, when they make these horror movies and they use demonic like exorcism things like that, like they're actually sourcing real material. Yes. Like, and I know we like to pretend like these things aren't real, but they're definitely real. And spirits and energy of culture and things and bad things that have happened definitely live in places. Like I've cleared some really intense, deep stuff, especially in Virginia. There's a lot of things here locked up from all the horrible things that have happened here. Yes. You know, and so like there's not, I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, so anyway, lots of things to clear. Where was I going with that? So in Hereditary, they lock in a demon, and the whole thing is like all these creepy rituals, and they're doing this thing to like, and the demon they pick was Paimon, and I forget which one. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he's one of like the really high level ones or something. It's just like it almost felt like I was participating in it when I was watching it, which, you know, is probably so. So it might not be worth it to watch it because I just told you the parts about it. But these things all have major significance, like the Super Bowl show. All those things are definitely, just like we talked about with the thoughts becoming words, becoming actions, and the actions show up as a spell, and the spell shows up with the propaganda and the framing and the this is what it is, and this is exactly how we're going to show it to you, because this is all we want you to know about it. We want you to know that Elon's a big douchebag and that he's just like he's the guy to direct all of your energy towards. And you know what happens when you direct all of your energy towards something? It's like in the Daily Show episode most recently with Jon Stewart, and he sat there and he gave a WWE, which is so appropriate for the lady who's now in charge of education, a WWE description of playing the heel and how Trump, that's what Trump does. He plays the bad guy on purpose because we feed energy to that. And when you feed energy to that, it makes it stronger. And that's the attention. That's why I was like, man, we shouldn't talk about this on here. But it needs to be talked about, and it needs to be shown for what it is. And I don't know that Trump's a demon. He's just too stupid. Like, I don't think, honestly, like he's just a patsy, and he, whatever. And he probably isn't even strong enough to be a vessel for something like that. But I know that Elon Musk, seeing his mother, knowing his grandfather being the technocrat, and his grandfather, mind you, and his father being the insane maniac, but I think kind of genius level person. I'm not really sure. They're just money. They're like old money that came through from South Africa, and they owned all that shit there. And he was raised there, and then he ended up in Canada, and his grandfather was in Canada, and all this stuff with his mother. But his mother was a model or something, and now like, so her, if you could go back in Wikipedia pages, I'm not sure how you do that, but I think it's possible. Her Wikipedia page 6 months ago was way fucking different than it is now. And I know that because that's when I started being like, wait a minute, what is he doing right now? Because he was double dipping, and he still is. Now he's triple, quadruple, just feeding himself money. And it's disgusting, and we're just watching like what the hell's happening, and it's really like I don't even know how to like summarize it, but that's definitely what's happening. And he's like, so his mom, other than just looking like a weird goth grandmother, like my opinion is that she's a extremely high level witch. And that she has used a lot of dark energy to ensole him with whatever is, and I feel like the autism is almost like it creates like a safe vessel, because it's like a clear vessel. Because you've watched him have weird tics and stuff on like live on television and do the weird shit that he does. Like that's not like somebody who's not possessed. Like he's definitely possessed when those things are happening. And I feel like because like of the way autism affects the brain, like it probably leaves weird open gaps where like the other things that really drive his engine are. And I don't know. Those are just my random thoughts on it, I guess, from a spiritual perspective and from the things I've been able to glean from it so far. I don't know. And him, so when he was talking about Grok 3, I didn't get back to the end of that part with Jordan Peterson, he said very clearly, like, we're training a new god. Like, that wasn't a fucking joke. Like, excuse me again for saying the F word, but that was not a joke. He was definitely, that's what he's doing. And so like more details on the AI. I don't know if you know these things about and how predictive it is. I think it was like 3 to 5 years in the future, it can predict most things that you will do based on how it's watching you right now. So, like 3 to 5 years based on all the information it's collected. And now he just went in and got all of our medical records and our IDs and all the things for that. Like really weird. And we'll see what happens, I guess, right? When we're offered Neuralink, like you said, after the robots are holding our arms. So I don't know. Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that, Amber. Please share your thoughts on how to progress forward in releasing fear-based evolutions. I appreciate that, because those things we did just talk about are extremely fear-based. And while at the same time, the things that I'm explaining are actually happening. So it's kind of scary. while it's very valid. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So moving forward, how do we move forward? What do you think, Ferdinand? What was your first? This is what we wanted to frame this entire topic around, I think, right?
I appreciate that, Brian, and thank you, Amber, for your comment. When it comes to spiritual warfare attacks, fear-based, my suggestion is, first things first, turn off the electronics. Use them as a tool to get things done, but don't sit there and do this all day long.
Right.
Don't sit there and do this all day long, and don't sit there and do this all day long. Right? Make some changes in that space, because see, the law of suggestion works like this. We become what we experience in repetition. Okay. So if you don't want to become fear, if you desire to become something different, something that's at a higher vibration, then all you do is you change the algorithm up to include those types of suggestions in your daily reality, right? So those could be affirmations. This definitely the abstaining from entertainment, right? And then you replace that with reading books. You replace that with high vibrational conversations with a grandma, or with someone who is, who has some experience. They've done some things, somebody you can learn from, right? And all of this starts to rewire the way that you think, and right, because see, like on a daily basis, I'm surrounded by fear-based situations, right? I don't feel none of that. Well, the reason why I don't feel is because I don't participate. I don't know what's happening on CNN. I don't know what's happening on the Fox News. I don't know what Ray and Pookie's doing. I don't know what Billy and Susan is doing. I don't really care. When I come to my Facebook, sometimes I'm coming up there to the news feed to sometimes to be entertained, but most of the time, it's very rare to be entertained. Most of the time, I'm going up there to post a video, post a link or something like that. And then I'm going back to creating something else. So I'm keeping my mind occupied, right? Because that idle mind can manifest fear very, very easy, right? Because it's sitting around with nothing to do. So I recommend meditation. I recommend spending as much time out in nature as possible. I recommend writing your goals and then actively going after your goals. Set your goals so high that if you told somebody your goals, they would think that you was being aggressive, or they think that you were being, you was being unrealistic. That's how you know your goals are right. When people think you're being unrealistic, set them that high.
Yep.
Right. And then actively go after them. Like they could be something that most people are like, yo, this is impossible. Right. Well, you go after them like they're possible. And you'll realize that your mind will start to gravitate towards what's effective and efficient. To include the emotions that you feel each day, your mind will take you down a path of having effective and efficient emotions for whatever it is that you're doing each day, so that you can have peace and you can have harmony.
That was great.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I that was so, yeah, like it's like when in teaching situations, working with kids, the higher the bar you set for them, the more that they're able to reach for it and step to it. So in picking your way out of this fear-based evolution, aim super high, because if we're all feeling really low right now, the highest thing you can see for your whole reality, like aim for that, because it always involves everybody having everything for them work out. I love this one. This is from Abraham. Abraham's the lady channels Abraham. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. Anyway, Abraham in the channeling session said, everything is always, say it like this: everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. Incorporate like different mantras, or you can call them affirmations, whatever words you want to use for it, ways to repattern your thinking. We have so many thoughts. What is it? They say we have 80 to 90%. It's usually in the 80s, negative thoughts every day. What if those 80% of thoughts were positive thoughts towards what you're building? How quickly would we manifest things that are coming for us? Pretty instantly, I think, even the really big things. And the more we can hold that frequency together, this is biblical or whatever. It's like wherever two or more are gathered, I am there, right? What's there? Spirit, divinity. That's why I like my, we are that we are. The more we stand up, we are as strong as our weakest link. So what ways can we help all the links grow together? And that's what community is about. And that's about holding that frequency and that vibration so we can all grow together. And that takes that vision of looking up above us and seeing what the highest framework is. And that's almost like a defense of a one world government, because I feel like if there was one that was actually run with compassion for all people, like the ideas of communism, communism was supposed to be the evolution of capitalism. When Karl Marx wrote the ideas of Marxism, he took the ideas of capitalism and he's like, well, what would this evolve into? Because we do actually have enough food to feed the entire world. Enough food is made to feed it's like the world plus a third or something. And a lot of it goes to animals, which, people eat the animals, all those things. There's all kinds of different ways to do these things, but there's enough to take care of everyone. And the fact that we don't is what's really uncomfortable about this place that we call the United States. We do, was it Norway or Sweden? Very recently, within the past year, they actually set up homes all over the country so there's no more homeless people. There are no homeless people. I think it's either Sweden or Norway, one of those two. They'd set up all these places to help people rehabilitate themselves. A lot of the people that are wandering around homeless have mental illness, and they were locked out of places and facilities that they've been going to for a very long time. There's a lot of sanitariums and things like that, things that help people cope or live their lives with as much dignity as they can if they've lost their faculties, mental faculties. And there was a lot of places that were closed in the 70s and 80s for whatever reason. And those people weren't really welcomed back anywhere. They just wandered around homeless. And so it's really sad that we treat our people who need the most help in the worst ways. And now with the education system being kind of farmed out, I really worry about the special education system, which is super sad. Especially even more sad and despicable for Trump, because I know his grandnephew, right? So his nephew's son has Down syndrome or extreme autism, where he's not able to function. And it's just sad. His own nephew tried to go on record, I think when he was finishing his first term, and talk to him and say, hey, could you help more with people with special needs and those things. And he's like, this person shouldn't be alive. Which is just horrible. And it's his own family member. We just, the humanity that we don't have, or that we put in charge, or the lack of humanity that we put in charge is really sad. So anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but this is a result of colonization influence, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It backfires on itself over time, which is sad that when we see the backfiring, there's a lot of collateral damage.
Right.
So I definitely want the
entire groups of people, entire civilizations, entire different, depends on where you are. You might not be rich enough to be in the club. If you don't got that $5 million, you can't get the Trump gold card.
So I do a podcast called the Mastermind Library. And on that podcast, the last book that I read, I'm reading The Ageless Woman now, for anyone who wants to check it out. But the book that I read before The Ageless Woman is called Secrets of the Federal Reserve. And I was able to see through that doctrine how money was being moved, or not money, how precious metals were being moved, and how it was being replaced with a credit system. So there's been so much that's taken place, and the things that have taken place, let's say with the 1770s, but then you fast forward up to the 1910s, all the way to the 1930s, and now what we got is 12 to 13 families that are in control of the entire world, all of the industry, all of the religions, all of academics, politics. Every part every part of society is controlled by these specific families. And I'm not able to say exactly what their plan is. I haven't sat down and talked to them. However, the results of their plan has panned out in lots of hatred, much death, debt all over the world. So many of these nations moving into democracies for their people to be in debt, and they work their whole life and they never have anything, you know, except food and clothes on their back. Maybe they was able to afford a car a couple times, right? So, you know, these are things that we can all work together on to expel. And all we got to do is stand up. Monopoly is being played on our backs, right? We have to all, I really want everybody out there to understand. And I want to thank everybody who's here listening. Really appreciate you. It's Elevation Station. It's episode 1. It's a new day. They call me the guy with the books. I got Brian over here. And listen, we got to understand that we in this game, by us choosing to not participate and us standing together as one, putting ourselves in a position to stop ingesting this propaganda machine, this national narrative, and step into a space where now we are creating entertainment and we are creating education and instruction that is for everlasting life more abundantly. That's for righteousness. That's built out of real truth. And in that space, what happens is there's no more divide and conquer. No, we stand together hand in hand. My brother Brian and Ferdinand, right? Susie and Keisha, Ray and Billy, right? Because there is no black and white, right? We've got to all live in the reality that there is humanity, right? And that's one race. All we got to do is stand up and the game is over.
That's it. There's way, it's that's what I was going to ask you real quick. I apologize for that sound that came out. It was, if you could even hear it, have you ever seen, what's the movie? Oh, A Bug's Life.
Yes, long time ago, but I saw it.
Can we stream a video? Can I like play a YouTube video? Can you like?
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead, share.
Okay, hold on. Let me find it real quick.
Thank you very much, Amber. Appreciate that.
Okay, here we go. If you've seen, here we go. Okay, I think. Okay. I got it. Now, how do I do screen sharing?
It says present down at the bottom.
Okay. And it'll just let me screen share. Okay, cool. Got it. This one.
Thank you to everybody who's sitting here with us. Listen, these topics need all of humanity. Okay. If you've got an opinion on what we're talking about, put it in the comments. We're going to put it up on the screen and we're going to address it. Go ahead, Brian, you got the floor.
Oh yeah, here we go. So I don't know if you've ever seen A Bug's Life, but there's this scene, and that's what this is. Then they all might stand up to us. It was just a great analogy, because we are like ants to the 3 people that control more than half of the wealth of our country. So it's pretty valid that we all think about this idea together.
There was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss, they're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this grain is a puny little ant. Did that hurt?
Nope.
Well, how about this one?
Are you kidding?
How about this? You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay?
I have to finish writing this paper. I'm swamped.
All right, commercials. All right. Stop sharing. Okay, so
I appreciate you showing that that cartoon clip movie clip of Ant's life, because it goes back to what I was just saying about those families that are in control of the whole world. And
Yep.
I would imagine that mindset that the ant just showed is more than likely exactly what their mindset is as well.
So we need a team of circus bugs to join us as we but yeah, and all those things, there's no option off the table for solutions here. They're doing the most ridiculous things. I think everybody else should band together to do some ridiculous things to make this stuff fix. But the ridiculous things don't need to be violent and destructive. And I think that we have to find super creative type ways, like you were saying, set the bar so high, just really try to help people, lift them and elevate them in the quickest way possible. And you said earlier with meditations and helping yourself recenter, like we started this with, it's a new day. It's a new opportunity for you to shift your thoughts, to shift your emotions, to shift your actions, to shift your world, to shift all of it. And it starts with you, so what are some easy ways to meditate if you don't know how to meditate? So one thing I can throw out there is Insight Timer. Insight Timer is the #1 meditation app in the world. It reaches millions of people every day. Every day there's over 500,000 people on there, pretty much 24 hours a day. And all these people are looking for ways to recenter and to refocus. I have a page on there. If you just search my name, it'll show up. I have 7 meditations on there that I use. I do doing 3 different weekly free live meditations. You can go on there and just watch it. You don't have to pay anything. They have memberships, of course. All these places have memberships, and you can buy courses, and they offer retreats, all kinds of cool things through it. But as a whole, it's free for you to access. We use it for our school. We have for our nap times, like a quiet time for the kids. We'll play some of the meditations they have for children on there. These are great opportunities for us to all share our thoughts and our focus and our ability to express ourselves in a harmonic way, so we can all grow together. So I suggest that one. I'm sure there's other meditation apps. It was kind of uncomfortable. I saw because unfortunately, like we've been talking about, I have been guilty of scrolling too much lately, but it's more like I want to know, because I know a lot of weird history stuff, and I want to be able to sync it up with things that I've experienced or I'm experiencing right now, because I don't want to miss something, because history is definitely repeating itself in really messed up ways. And so the quicker we can see it and call it out, and really call it out so everybody can see it, not just because there's a lot of people making videos and talking about the horrible things that are happening, and then they're just trying to play it off like it's not really happening, but it definitely is. And the more that we can draw awareness to that for everyone to see it, like I said, if it was only 40 to 45% of the actual public that voted, everybody else who didn't get a chance to vote is like, what the fuck did they just do? So, it's, again, ants. If we all stand up, the monopoly board falls over. And what do we stand up for? What is it in France? One of the days, the women were so upset that they had changed some of the laws. And I think this would be a great thing for all the weird crap he's doing. And with the Roe v. Wade, all the things, because he picked that group to be as stacked Republican as it is. So every house of our government, or every framework or whatever, all the 3 rings of our government are controlled by the Republican Party right now, which is really frightening for the things that he had outlined in Project 2025. He's already had underway for the past 4 years. Let's be clear, even in Virginia, Youngkin's been processing and enacting the things that are in Project 2025 for the past 3 years. I'm sure, and it is what it is, but I'm sure as the education department, which is run by the WWE lady, the wife of the McMahon guy that started the WWF and WWE, all those things, it's just such a sideshow. This is all just sideshow stuff while they're doing other things that shouldn't be happening. So I worry about the other things. and how they're happening too, because of all those executive orders he signed, we haven't even uncovered all, like, because he signed like 80 of them the first day or something. And like they haven't even talked about most of them. It's probably because people can't even really understand them yet. And as he starts enacting things, I was listening to the Wall, Pink Floyd's The Wall this morning. Because I was like, that whole, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but it's very like, because it was an allusion towards the Berlin Wall when it was written, but it was about how society was being run and all. It's a really like weird, dark, but like real picture of what the world was like with communist Russia and after Germany, and like they just made their own like story with it, which is really cool. So anyway, I just this morning was feeling that, and I was like, the way that things are unfolding is very much that way. There's a whole scene where the guy's like dressed like a Nazi and he's like calling out people for being different. And first they're going to come for people we don't know, and then they're going to come for somebody else, and we're just not going to do anything. And then they're going to come for our friends, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's really sad that happened for them." And then they're going to show up for us, right? So if we don't all stick together, it's all going to come back on us, and we'll be the only ones who won't have anyone to protect us. We'll just be waiting to put a Neuralink on while the robots hold our arms.
Well, in the coming years, there won't be anybody protecting anybody. They'll be protecting themselves.
Or their money, or their kingdoms that they're holding.
We're facing the roughest time that we've ever seen in American history, ever. And when I say American history, I'm talking about the United States of America, right? Yep. Talking about since the existence of this corporation we call a country. And when we look at that, it's time to prepare.
Right.
The majority of Americans don't even know what it's like to be in a combat zone. The majority
they don't know what it's like to grow their own food.
Thank you. They don't know what it's like to grow.
They don't even know where food comes from. Yeah.
So these are all things that Americans need to be thinking about right now, because we got to be real, everybody. Everybody out there who's listening, thank you for being here. It's Elevation Station, episode 1. It's a new day. I'm the guy with the books. We got Brian on the line. Listen, y'all, prepare. It's super important. Most Americans have never tasted actual desperate. They think they have.
Right.
I guarantee you the majority of Americans, I'm talking about like 99% of them, have never actually tasted desperate before.
Mm-hmm.
During this time that I'm talking about, which will kick off in the summer of 2026, people are going to taste desperate in 2027, in 2028, in 2029, and 2030.
It's already headed there. Yeah.
Going to taste real desperation. And see, I gotta be clear, Brian, with everybody who's listening. RFK just came on the news and said that 60% of the American population has the disease. So we're talking about autoimmune diseases more than likely. Well, the Western medicine has made it very clear that they believe that there's no cures to these autoimmune diseases. So you got a whole bunch of people who are manifesting these diseases and holding on to them for decades. Now,
Yep.
What happens when
believing it?
What happens when you take away the pusher? Who's the pusher? Lion Food, Fresh Farm. You get the idea,
yeah.
Right? These are the pushers of the drugs. In a very short period of time, those operations will be shut down. And when they're shut down, you're about to have a whole lot of people who didn't even know they were eating drugs, and they're going to be going through withdrawal symptoms while they're desperate and heavily armed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially in this place. Got the largest naval base in the world down the street, So all the things to consider. Yeah. So the more we can start educating each other and everyone in our community about how to live in harmony with not just yourself, but like with nature.
Yeah.
She's pissed and she's coming back for some things. We didn't even go in that direction. But Mom's was it the Tool song? What is the Mom's gonna fix it all soon? Mom's coming around to put it back the way it ought to be. She's definitely in her. She's feeling her things, and we're definitely not reacting quick enough. And on purpose. That's why, Zuckerberg built his 14-story underground bunker in Hawaii, probably over the land that they destroyed with the heat gun thing. I'm not even going to go there. But, all those things, make sure you have a blue roof if you're building a new roof. Make sure that the roof is that blue metal so it reflects the light if they come to fry your area. Because who's to say they don't, right? Yeah, all the things. So...
Yeah, it's out of control,
Yep.
but this is what spiritual warfare looks like on physical plane.
Yeah.
So please, everybody out there who's listening, understand that you're in the middle of a spiritual war. And I could explain it, right? But I would have to kind of go pretty deep. Just understand that we've got masculine energy and we've got feminine energy that are smacking up into each other over the equivalent of the Atlantic Ocean, which will create what we call a hurricane. So you're in the middle of a spiritual hurricane right now, and there's a changeover that's taking place at the exact same time. This is a glorious time right now, but at the same time, this is also a dangerous time for those who aren't prepared. So this is a great time to go ahead and start eating more healthy. This is a great time to learn how to garden, right? To grow your own food. This is a great time to get an understanding of cymatics and sound healing. Matter of fact, every one of y'all, man, go find Brian Egan on Facebook, send him messages, blow up his website, hit him on the email. Listen, get in touch with this guy, man. Your children need education. Get in touch with this guy. You need sound healing. Get in touch with this guy. All right. Listen, we got to support each other. Okay. So everybody out there understand that in addition to y'all supporting Brian and the operation that he has going on, that's improving community in so many different locations. He's touching a global audience. I'm very proud of him. We've got to make sure that we are getting prepared.
It is all happening. So yeah, this is it, right? I gotta act now, or let. What is it? If you don't have your own plan, you're part of somebody else's.
Correct.
So know who you are, know where you're going. I was telling my high school kids if bad things happen, because they could go to the mountains. It's one of the safer places that's going to happen if everything shuts down. But if I'm telling everybody that, I guess we're all going to be there together, right? But that's the point. So we can take care of each other.
I've been telling people a similar thing. Not this year, but sometime next year, definitely 2027. It will be very wise to be in a forest environment that has no driveway, because that's going to be natural camouflage. Right? The mountains and the caves, same exact thing. It's going to be natural camouflage. So, just keep these things in mind. If you've got a friend who's a combat veteran or they're a first responder, have a sit down conversation with them. Take them out to lunch, take them out to a coffee or something, and have your list of questions already written out on how you are to prepare. Go look at FEMA's website, see what they got. Go and look at these other websites and see what they got going on. Hit Brian and I in the messages, in the comments. Yeah. We'll tell you what our not every piece of it, but we'll tell you what our plan is for our families. Because we all need to come through this together. The hard reality is that many people won't take this serious, and so please be one of those people who takes it serious, because you're not going to get this on CNN. This is not going to be on Fox News. This is not going to be on your local news. You're not going to see it on drama shows on TV. They're not going to be talking about this, because this right here is privileged information. You got to learn the science to be able to properly decode this. And they don't want people learning the science, because if you learn the zodiac, you can never be controlled ever again. You know the cycles of time now. You know exactly when there's going to be a financial crisis. You know exactly when there's going to be war. You know exactly when you should kiss your wife. You know exactly when you should take your dog for a walk. You know exactly when you should invest some money. That zodiac will help you know all those things. Go look at your birth chart. Have somebody read your birth chart for you who doesn't even know you at all, and I guarantee you your jaw will be on the ground at how accurate that they are.
Hey, Ferdinand, have I ever asked you, are you familiar with human design?
I am. Not on the level of teaching it or kind of helping somebody else do it, but I have my human design done.
Oh yeah. Which one are you?
Let me go to it real quick because I haven't looked at it for a while. I'll tell you in just a second. Okay, here we go. Human design. Where you at? It's full. That's life, work, culture, pearl. No, this isn't the human design. This is the full profile. Okay, so here goes the human design. I think this is it. See, I need to pull this on the computer. That way, I can show it to you. You know what? What I'll do is let me text you these, and you could tell me. Actually, okay. No, I found my human design chart. Fine. So my type is manifesting generator.
Oh, nice. That's cool. I think mine was like a pure generator. I don't remember like all the other parts to it, but yeah. So, nice. But yeah.
I'm about to send it to you right now on text message.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't look at it very often. Somebody did it for me.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know, that's a discipline that I need to dive into and
but it uses astrology and astronomy and all those pieces together, the planetary movements, and there's other parts that he wove into it too, like the I Ching and things, and it's cool. I have not really studied it. I've had friends who were like way into it and stuff, so we like checked all my kids and stuff, and like my 16-year-old son's a manifester, so we're always like, be very, very careful with what you say because you're creating it, you know.
Yes.
And like it'll happen. Like, you know, and it's pretty spot on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was a projector and reflector. I think my wife's a projector. They're the ones that kind of will like help direct what's happening, kind of a thing. It's cool, good stuff. You know, all those things are pretty valid.
So everybody, listen, it's Elevation Station. It's episode 1. It's a new day. I'm the guy with the books. We got Brian over here. Listen, we about to go ahead and close it down. Brian, what's your closing remarks?
Realize that every day, one is a new day. And it's a new time for you to shift what you're thinking about, what you're choosing to participate in with your mind, with your body, with your soul. So be aware of what you're putting your attention on, because our attention is our intention, whether we want it to be or not. So if we're participating mentally, emotionally, spiritually in things that are toxic or we know are toxic for us, then it's time that we reshift that and we be aware of it. So I challenge you until our next greeting on here to put yourself into that action state. You know, use your mind to think of the highest picture of something, the highest vibrational picture of something, like the worst thing you could think about too. You know, bring it all in. But shift your brain and therefore your mind into what it would show up like. Build that emotion around it, right? That's your heart space. That's what creates the present. And just allow it to show up. The hardest part is letting it go. That's the allowing part. So we always want to control the things, right? We have to kind of give up our control on things and just be in flow with it. So find your flow, be your flow, and we'll keep talking about it because every day is a new day. And you are able to shift it if you allow yourself to. It's all participatory, right? It's a participatory universe, whether we want to admit it or not. So there you go.
That right there is called a mic drop. Okay. I don't even know how to follow up with that. So I'm gonna follow up with some gratitude. Thank you, Brian, very much for being a part of this podcast. I think you're the perfect host for the topics that we're having and for this vibration that we're going to bring to humanity. So I really appreciate you. And tell your wife I said thank you for sparing you for 90 minutes. So with that, I leave everybody out there with this. Expose your gift.